Alright, next up is My Soul to Take, and let me just say, before some of you out there just count me out as another film critic who bashes horror films all the time, that couldn't be further from the truth. There are a great deal of horror films I hold in the highest regards, and not just of its genre, but in the aspect of cinema as a whole. And the man who did a lot of that, a man who I held in very high regard for many years, films that were written and or directed by the man who wrote and directed this film, Mr. Wes Craven. Now, he did this movie, and of course, in my opinion, A Nightmare on Elm Street is one of the greatest achievements in horror cinema that could possibly ever come around, and really just, its grip it had on me as a kid, and even still today, even though it's quite tame by today's standards, but they weren't taking the easy way out with that film scene, even with its teenage characters. It built characters up from the ground up in that movie. That's what it did. And again, he did things with the horror genre that just were so smart and so brilliant. Craven has also made other such great films as the original Hills Have Eyes movie from the 70s. The first two Scream films were amazing, which parodied the very genre that the film itself was presenting. It was one of the smartest and most sophisticated horror films ever made. Even middle-of-the-road horror films like The Shocker and People Under the Stairs that he was behind were quite entertaining. Even his last film, 2005's Red Eye, was a tremendously enjoyable and effective suspense film. Now, Craven has spawned a lot of wannabe directors that he influenced with atrocious results. And here with My Soul to Take, Craven is even worse than some of the wannabes he has spawned. This is a stupid, idiotic, soulless, uninhabited, rotting piece of giraffe crap. That is what this movie is. I'm telling you, Craven should be ashamed of himself for even making this. Now, the plot of My Soul to Take is a mess, but here, I'll try. Okay, 16 years ago, the spirit of a demonic murderer named the Ripper, dum bum bum, cue ominous music, was released. And of course, we get the whole yada yada yada, you know, that's the introduction of the character, when his host body, of course, died. Now, local lore says evil soul jumped into one of the 7 children born in his town that same day, like a homicidal, I guess you could say, you know, Dalai Lama or whatever, as to what they're trying to get across. Now, those kids are high schoolers who have to figure out which one of them is the new Ripper before he kills them all! Anyway, as a matter of fact, I was waiting for it to put these kids in their misery. They're so boring. Anyway, the slew of obvious why and how questions won't even bug you once this movie just keeps it's unimaginativeness and unoriginality and its stupidity overall just really get you. If movies were a simpleton, this would be it. And I'm telling you, and I can't believe the guy who created Freddy Krueger can't even merit a scary bad guy. The Ripper really just materializes as a hairy brute who, you know, doesn't conjure up nightmares so much as he conjures up the image of a guy who has been lost in a forest for 30 years and is totally socially inept and looks weird. This movie sucked, and I am putting it mildly. This gets the big fat 0.